Hello. Okay. Just gonna try and find some of the main Oz politics peeps I need to find for what I wanted to show. So we need Susan Lay. Wait, Susan Lay. Who was that other one? The real Susan Lay. Okay, so they both are her, but we're gonna go with this one since it's her like verified. Ozpol. Where's my boy Bobcat? Yeah. um, what's this? I say, show, 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 show. that up, but whatever. Okay. So I got a little, I got, well, I don't know if I got in trouble, but I got called out a little bit for streaming while having not asked people in a X space if they were okay with being, I guess, like recorded and streamed, which is fair. I am kind of apologetic on that, and sorry that was an oversight on my side. So for next few days, I think I'm just gonna sort of stick to more newsy things with streaming anyways, 'cause we got new shit happening now. So we have America taking over Venezuela. You know, we kind of had a we this was kind of expected. Who am I trying to find? I'm trying to find. Oh yeah, let's get Anthony Albanese up because I want to know how are all the different leaders of all the different parties and whatnot. Like, what's the vibe they're giving off with what's happened in Venezuela? Because yeah, okay. So this is yesterday. I remember I saw this. The Australian government is monitoring developments in Venezuela. We urge all parties to support dialogue and diplomacy in order to secure regional stability and prevent escalation. Australia has long held concerns about the situation in Venezuela, including the need to respect democratic principles, human rights, and fundamental freedoms. We continue to support international law and a peaceful, democratic transition in Venezuela that reflects the will of the Venezuelan people. Australians in Venezuela who need assistance, and then there's some numbers. Um, so something that I think is important to say right off the bat is this was about drug trade, apparently. You know, like apparently Venezuela is sending bucket loads of uh fucking what is it? What's the drug? The fentanyl. Fentanyl. They're all worried about the fentanyl at the moment. And like there's not really any proof of that. Oh, there you go, fentanyl. And then on top of that, Trump fucking pardoned the leader, well, the ex-leader, former leader of, I think it was the Dominican Republic, might have been a different country, where he pardoned him for the charges and crimes and whatnot that the guy was uh, put in jail for, which was drug trade, which was like drug smuggling into America. So it doesn't really help the case that they're highly concerned about drug smuggling, especially like, I don't, well, yeah, just any kind of drug smuggling, when he's more than happy apparently to pardon him, that guy. Uh, so like to bring it back to what Anthony Albanese here says, it's a bit just very usual, very normal. We are sane washing what Trump has done, or like what America has done, what the American military has done here. We're sane washing it, trying to make out like it was done as some means or like a legitimate means of helping the Venezuelan people have be able to return to like a democratic process. Which, like, sure, that's nice and all, but we fucking kidnapped their dude. We kidnapped their leader and his missus. I mean, obviously not we, but America. All right. Oh, yeah. All right. Because I need to add all these accounts to my lists. Otherwise, I'll just completely forget about them, and then I won't know, like, what the politicians are saying. And how am I supposed to know what's going on if I don't know what the politicians are saying? Um, I just want like the relevant, important ones now. These are all like America. Did I do Labour? I think I did. Oh, yeah. All right, so then let's go to, I want to see Susan Lay. Wait, is that the one? No, we want to see that one. So I know Susan Lay's and like the LNP's perspective, it's basically illustrated in this, isn't it? Yeah, their press release, which that's all they've given is like a fucking press release from Michaela Cash, who is still Foreign Affairs. Wait, no, because wasn't it? It was a different lady at one point. Whatever. The coalition welcomes the announcement that Nicolas Maduro has been taken into custody to face legal proceedings in the United States of America. So again, welcomes the announcement that an illegal thing happened, that like an illegal, a war crime. As other world leaders, such as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and the President of France, have said, yeah, they've all bent the knee. Nicolas Maduro was an illegitimate president. Under his rule, Venezuela has endured years of repression, systemic human rights abuses, corruption, and the crushing of basic democratic freedoms, driving immense suffering and forcing millions to flee. Mind you, forcing millions to flee, but I hope they didn't come here. As the former coalition government stated when in office, Australia called for a transition to democracy in Venezuela as soon as possible. As the former coalition stated, yeah, of course they did. Grounded in the rule of law, which we don't worry about us kicking over the rule of law in order to apparently help you transition to a democracy of rule of law and respect for human rights and supported a pathway to elections. The Venezuelan people deserve the chance to restore their sovereignty through a peaceful return to democracy through genuinely free and fair elections conducted without intimidation or violence and with credible international scrutiny. We should live in a world where dictators and despots face justice for their crimes. Well, evidently we don't really, because as mentioned, a few of them have been pardoned, and also on top of that, uh, Trump is one. So that's a bit awkward. That's a bit difficult. All right, let's go see Barnaby Joyce. Has he said anything on it? Maybe not. I mean, I don't know how much he talks about international politics. Well, that's not even recent. This is not even recent at all. Okay, I guess not. He just has nothing on it. That's fine. What does Tony Abbott have to say? Does he have something? He would have something. He has to have something. Nope, nothing. Fair enough. Um, what is all of like LNP front bench? That'll be the easiest way to like get an idea. Our team. Susan Lay, Ted O'Brien, Brian. I haven't been paying attention to Canberra in particular for a little bit, admittedly. All right, Ozpol. Let's see. Have we? Nope. No comment. No care. Doesn't matter. Well, it would be Michaela Cash here who's going to have some sort of opinion, wouldn't she? Well, not an opinion, but at least express some sort of statement. Yeah, okay. So like what, the exact same thing? Yeah, the exact same thing. So she's just saying the exact same thing as that press release. And that's irrelevant to now. While we're here, oh God, there's so many. That's all right. We can deal with that later. Who is the Labour? Oh, well, it would be Penny Wong, wouldn't it? Labour front bench. Our people. There's so many Anthony Albanese. No. Where is Penny Wong? Because isn't it Penny Wong? No, these are just members. Oh, I meant like ministry. Here we go. Yeah, foreign affairs. Yeah. So now let's go to Penny Wong. Did I get her up before? Maybe not. Senator Penny Wong. Okay. And so what has she said? Are you kidding me? She said nothing? Has she actually said nothing on the whole thing? Malcolm's. But, oh, well, okay, we haven't even gotten anything recent. But we got stuff to do with Cambodia, Thailand, and then the US, Nigeria. Oh, yeah, of course, the cooperation on that shit. Fucking ISIS. All right. I want to see, let's see, do we have a Pauline Hanson statement? 18 hours ago. Sleeping, sleeping. Only 4% say immigration levels are too low. That's a bit misleading, don't you think? Also, like, they never word it as like, well, this is the amount of Australians who actually are for immigration, you know? It's just, but they're wrong. Wait, so she hasn't either said anything on it. I mean, I guess that's probably fair, right? They probably don't really say much. All right, let's go to, well, actually, hang on. My man Bob Catter surely has to have said something. How? Huh? Oh, 2025. Come on, aren't you like a poster, bro? Not really. No, bugger. That's okay. We're going to now, we just bring up the news. Brilliant. Sky News. Do we have any footage on, well, maybe I just go Aus Response to Venezuela. Can I just do that and I'll get stuff? I don't know how good searching on here goes. Just classified Australia. The military attack by the United States of Venezuela and the kidnapping of the country's President Maduro marked a low point for the international law-based order. Such unprecedented actions put Australia in a quandary whether or not to support its allies' illegal actions. Well, apparently we've already decided. Apparently we decided that we are definitely going to stick with supporting them. This condemnation of Venezuelan democracy is a most confounding step into South American politics to be taken by the Australian government. Unnecessary, foolish, and embarrassing. Let's see. Wait, but this was last year. Urges a peaceful return to democracy in Venezuela. We condemn any violence or repression against those. Yeah, whatever. Just going to. Okay. Latest. That's probably how I want to do it. Okay. Hey, ChatGPT, write the Aus response to American invasion and compare it with. What? Australians have woken to report that, if confirmed, constitutes a clear and serious violation of international law. The forcible seizure of the leader of a. I'm fucking reading ChatGPT. I don't really want to do that. Also, we had Drew Pavlo getting arrested at a he was as a pro-Maduro rally, but I'm pretty sure it's just like, can America stay the fuck out of our shit? Like, fuck off. Survive CCP kidnap plot. Okay. I want to just try and bring up like a feed, like a video feed, so that I can at least just watch that. Let's see. Okay, let's try this. Actually, no. What we'll do. Yeah. All right. So this was on Sky News in Australia. Donald Trump says US must restore law and order to Venezuela before elections. That's right. Do we get video footage? Do we believe in it?
Well, for more, joining us live is Senior Research Fellow for...
Do they not have intervals? All right. I'll just turn it down for myself. Hopefully it's just not too loud on the stream.
Advanced Technology at the Heritage Foundation and former Navy Captain Brent Sadler. Brent, thank you very much for joining us. I guess that is the big question, what next? And we've got the court charges with Nicolas Maduro and his wife set tomorrow, your time, but also, as we just heard there, potential immigration, potential flare-ups and that flow on. What are you expecting?
Well, I mean, if the current regime under the interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, the former vice president, if they follow their own constitution and it's determined that they're not going to be getting Maduro back anytime soon, which I think is a logical conclusion to come to, they follow their own constitution. In 30 days, they should have elections. And if those elections are free and fair, perhaps they'll get the rightful or more legitimate leader in the country, and perhaps Venezuela would take a peaceful change of course. I give that very slim odds, given all the stakes by the very corrupt regime that's in place, and certainly the interest of China, Russia, and Iran that are also at stake for allowing such a course. And certainly, if they were.
Yeah, so pretty well everyone has just gone like, all right, not much we can really do here. Not much we can really, yeah. It's sort of just like, well, I guess they get that. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of Snarky. What's that in relation to? Ah, yeah. Let's keep hearing. But yeah, everyone's bent the knee on this. Is this gonna play again? Do we believe in the right to play? Oh my God. I think the website's freaking out on me now. Oh. Sky News, everyone. They don't make much money, but they get pumped full of it. And now all of the words have disappeared. What on earth is going on? Alright, maybe we just wait. Yep, we get rid of that one. Okay. Well, that was fun while that lasted. That's okay. I got other clips. I don't know what's happened here. Oh, you need to be a premium member to see that one. That's fucking dumb. I'll be going to fucking YouTube next if this is the way it's going to be. Alright, so now here's some satellite images showing the well, if it fucking loads. Yeah, satellite images showing the aftermath of US strikes on Venezuela, because we love to see the aftermath. Yeah, I mean, looks pretty destroyed. Okay, cool. It does have video footage here. And that's, yeah, and then it's just dumb as shit. Alright.
Of civilian deaths and damage to residential buildings. The US also targeted various military infrastructure in Caracas. We've got some pictures showing the before and after of Forte Tayuna, the most important military complex in the country.
It is hard to overstate the significance of what is unfolding in Venezuela. This is the aftermath of US strikes. Military hardware destroyed, air defences wiped out. But residential areas have also not escaped unscathed. Here, people survey the damage to their apartment block. It's been devastated. And the blast from this strike on an army base travelled far beyond its target. Yanir Lucas lived next door. Her home was badly damaged, and now she fears what comes next.
It was unprecedented, a terrifying experience. We're still on edge, and now we're uncertain about what to do, whether to stay safe at home or go out to look for food.
In supermarkets, shoppers are stockpiling essentials, fearing shortages. There's deep uncertainty about America's real intentions and whether this could escalate into a full-scale invasion.
Well, I'm doing the shopping that I more or less needed to do, a little extra just in case there are any shortages, or it becomes difficult to get food.
And at banks, queues stretch for hours. People fear that if the country turns on itself, access to cash, already limited, could become even harder.
Look, you see the streets empty. People are doing their own thing, buying things to go back home. A lot of uncertainty in the entire
Yeah, that must be fucking fun.
country for everyone. You, me, someone walking. What will happen?
In Caracas, there is an uneasy quiet. With the effective decapitation of the Maduro government, Washington is signalling it's once again ready to intervene directly in Latin America. Under Donald Trump, events in what the US calls its backyard are firmly back on the agenda.
I honestly think it's something that Venezuelans already expected to a certain extent. However, there is also concern floating around because there is an elite that still remains. The elite that used to surround the president, they are still here. And that is basically what keeps the concern in the air and what has not allowed us Venezuelans to celebrate as such.
The Trump administration is accused by critics of tearing up international law, invading a sovereign nation and detaining its leader. As Venezuelans wait anxiously for answers about what comes next, governments across the region are watching closely and wondering whether they too could one day fall into Washington.
Yeah, probably. I'm gonna shortcut the answer on that. They have right to feel pretty fucking scared shitless at the moment. I, for one, would not want to be in like Colombia or Bolivia right now. It's not. Those people probably like the people there probably already like considering fucking evacuation plans. Okay, then I got another clip up. Oh, it's muted. Oh, so this is Maduro. Don't know where his missus is, but Maduro got a very nice hoodie and track pants that is that? I think he's literally just in like those Velcro strap flip-flop sort of sandal things that you get. So old mate probably literally got picked up out of bed. US President Donald Trump has threatened that Venezuela's newly appointed leader will face a worse fate than they can just do shit now, can't they? I mean, I guess there is something liberating with Trump in the sense of like, I think this is what they kind of mean in America, like the far right, when they were saying like, yeah, Trump's going to free us. It's like, yeah, he's going to free us to be able to like push around everyone else. Now we can just fucking do whatever we want. We're free. What the fuck? Like, hey guys, I know that like us kidnapping your leader, that leader was like illegal in itself, but guess what? If yous even consider doing like, well, let's not even put into let's not even consider like, oh, you just stay along the same path. Just straight up, we're threatening you that we're gonna do something worse. Sure, why not? Ooh, scary Maduro. Venezuela's new leader, Delcy Rodriguez, condemned the arrest, of course, shortly after he and his wife landed in a New York City jail. Yeah, she must be herself shitting bricks.
Hello. Happy New Year.
So, who is everyone here? Is that his wife? Must be. Oh god. That's not fun for her. Like! Alright, buddy, come on, let's go in here. Let's go to the next thing where you get picked up and taken to the next place. Trump asserted he will not stand for any defiance from Rodriguez if she fails to fall in line with the US president's vision of reform for Venezuela. So sovereignty just does not mean a thing anymore. It's a relevant concept. Oh, hello, David Hull. Hang on. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. We had a comment on YouTube. David Hull, 5535. I'm here but at work, going home now. I'll share. Hell yeah, thanks, bro. I don't know why that didn't pop up on the chat. I need to fix that now. Or do I? Do I really need to? I'm never going to understand this, how this shit works, eh? No, we don't want to do it on there. Trying to remember how I did this before. I have to go to like last night or something. Yeah. There we go. That is not what I was wanting. God dang it. Dashboard, let's just go to that. Yes. Skip sub tipping. I thought I already did all that. Okay. Oh, okay. Got knocking. Hang on. Oh, whoops. I had myself muted. So the chat box thing is now. Oh, no, put that back in there. To the currency. Oh. Oh, I think it's loading in now. I need to delete that one. Seems to be slowly but surely working its way on. I like my Wii one. Hopefully this will work. I just want it to work. And if I go launch, what does that do? Show. We were doing so well. Is this it? No. So what the fuck does that now say? It's not available. No. Copy URL. That's right, you need to copy that one. Paste. Where is it? It's now got a very big Y. I just don't know if it's... We can pretty well tell that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with all this shit, eh? No, that's not what we wanted. Whoops. Delete. Whatever. Okay, but yeah. Rodriguez, a long-time socialist, has been tapped to be Venezuela's new interim leader. Yeah, we know all that. If she doesn't do what's right, she is going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro. Lovely Trump. The music is way too loud. Trump's threat follows early praise the president heaped on Rodriguez, where he claimed she was necessary to make Venezuela great again. Yeah, that was funny as well, where like they kept hyping up Machado. Yeah, Maria Corina Machado, who is like a very obvious CIA plant. Oh, well, there you go, far-right politician activist. Um, she got the Nobel Peace Prize because apparently she's a peace activist, even though she has been very advocating, very highly appraising of the US military intervening into Venezuela and now obviously what they have done. So peace. Peace candidate. Rodriguez rejected Trump's notion that she would work with his administration and said Maduro is the only leader Venezuela needs. I mean, that's kind of what she has to say in a sense. We had already warned that an aggression was underway under false excuses and false pretenses, and that the masks had fallen off, revealing only one objective: regime change in Venezuela. And another quote, President Trump recently indicated that America would run Venezuela until a transition of power has taken place and a new leader is appointed. Yeah, which is like, what the fuck? Oh, we're getting words again.
Rowe has been brought to New York to face federal criminal charges after he was captured by the United States. US President Donald Trump has signalled America will be running the South American nation until a transition of power takes place.
In the darkness of a New York airfield, this was the American end of a president's arrest. Video appeared to show Nicolas Maduro walking off a plane onto the tarmac around 50 miles north of Manhattan. He appeared to wear a grey sweatshirt and shackles as he walked down the steps from the plane and into a hangar, surrounded by federal agents. This was Operation Absolute Resolve. The US used technology to turn off the lights in downtown Caracas as troops moved in to move out a sitting president. Inside the compound of Nicolas Maduro, he was caught as he tried to make his way to a steel-reinforced safe room. He was arrested with his wife and taken to the USS Iwo Jima for onward transport to New York. The man they call a narco-terrorist will face drug-running charges.
It was an assault like people have not seen since World War II.
Donald Trump didn't underplay the operational success. He'd watched from a situation room, makeshift, in Mar-a-Lago. Maduro, he said, had been bum-rushed by US forces as he tried to flee.
What the
For the Americans, it was
bum-rushed. Bum-rushed.
a result, no question. At a Mar-a-Lago news conference.
Okay, thank you very much. This is big stuff.
The question was what happens next.
Appreciate you being here. We are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about.
He was asked about boots on the ground, a US military presence. He didn't say no.
Well, you know, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it.
Yeah, it's fine.
But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain.
Maduro is the Venezuelan president long accused of authoritarianism, subverting democracy and abusing human rights. To the Trump administration, he's a narco-terrorist running drugs into the United States. For weeks, it's targeted boats it said were conducting the illicit trade. It's also pursued sanctioned tankers at sea, choking Venezuela's oil trade, the very business President Trump is now eyeing for profit. There were demonstrations in Caracas in support of the seized president. In his news conference, Donald Trump said the vice president had been sworn into the top job. But at the National Assembly, she backed the boss who'd been snatched.
Solo venezolano, ni una venezolana.
The extremist that has promoted this armed violence against our country will pay. History and justice will make them pay. We have no doubt.
Hay un solo presidente en este país.
There is only one president in this country, and he is called Nicolas Maduro Moros.
The hour of freedom has arrived. That was the verdict of Venezuela's opposition leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado. Many saw her as a natural successor, but not so Donald Trump.
Oh, I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect to be the leader.
There is uncertainty at what comes next for Venezuela and concern. That extends to members of Congress here in Washington who weren't consulted before the military action. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says that was down to operational secrecy. Opposition Democrats have condemned what they say is a plan to occupy Venezuela. In New York, the United Nations Secretary General has expressed a deep concern that international law could have been breached. And then there's a question of precedent. What other countries aren't aligned with Donald Trump? Who else could conceivably be next? After the events of Saturday morning, Donald Trump was asked about Cuba. He replied, "I think Cuba is going to be something we end up talking about." His actions have changed the conversation. James Matthews, Sky News.
Yeah, that sounds nice. That sounds fun. And then we have... Where's it more recent? Oh, sure, let's see this. Pam Bondi response. I know this is just like, it's really more so just Australian news.
Meet Base 44.
Fuck off.
There has been a mixed global reaction, plenty of questions internationally about the legalities of this attack and capture of the Venezuelan president. This is what the US Attorney General had to say on social media earlier. She'll say the Venezuelan president will face the full wrath of American justice on American soil in American courts. He says on behalf of she says on behalf of the entire US Department of Justice, I would like to thank President Trump for having the courage to demand accountability on behalf of the American people. And a huge thank you to our brave military who conducted the incredible and highly successful mission to capture these two alleged international narco traffickers. That's the US Attorney General Pam Bondi. As for Venezuela's Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez, well, she's called for the immediate release of Nicolas Maduro. She's demanding for proof of life of the president and his wife.
Probably going to be alive. Maybe. How do you know, eh? Let's see. Okay. Albanese responds.
We've just had in the Prime Minister's response to the capture of Nicolas Maduro by US forces. Anthony Albanese saying the Australian government is monitoring the situation and will provide assistance to any Australians in Venezuela. Writing on social media, Mr. Albanese said, "We urge all parties to support dialogue and diplomacy in order to secure regional stability and prevent escalation." Australia has long held concerns about the situation in Venezuela, including the need to respect democratic principles, human rights and fundamental freedoms. We continue to support international law and a peaceful, democratic transition in Venezuela that reflects the will of the Venezuelan people.
I say. So it's pretty well looking like we've just completely accepted it, you know? We're just going, all right. I mean, what do? We say no, fuck you, you can't do that. What happens then? I'm trying to figure out how to put the chat box on the stream and for it to be visible, but maybe I've actually got it all set up and it's just I need to wait. I don't know. Okay. Let's see, is there anything new on in the world of X? X? Trump says he's changed his mind on Virginia. Oh my God.
Nation building. There was a time back in 2016 where your RNC speech and you were saying that regime change and nation building. When you were speaking at the RNC back in 2016, you were criticizing regime change and nation building, the U.S. being involved in that. It seems obviously that your stance has changed on that. What led to that? And is the U.S. nation building now? Is that
this isn't a country that's on the other side of the world? This isn't a country like where you have to travel 24 hours in an airplane. This is Venezuela. It's in our area. The Don Road Doctrine.
So is that what you would say, that we're in the business of nation building?
No, we're in the business of having countries around us that are viable and successful, and where the oil is allowed to freely.
Bro, what happened to isolationism, you know? I thought they were going to be doing isolationism. It's why I refuse to accept that like whenever someone says that's sort of the politics they believe, that I just don't believe them.
Come out because that's good. It gets the prices down. That's good for our country. Now we have a very sick neighbor. It's not a neighbor, but it's close to a neighbor.
Very sick neighbor. Yeah, guys, we're just helping out our friends, you know. Let's see, do any cookers have any opinions on what's been going on? Oh, there was that. Yeah, sure. Let's see when Drew Pavlo got his fucking
USA! 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 Hey, what's up?
What's up? That's funny. Yeah. I saw people commenting, it wouldn't surprise me if it's in this comment section, let's just say, about like, where is it? Oh, Motorphone, no. Yeah, I don't know. But there was one I saw where it's like, oh, lefties always hate the police, but then want you to get arrested, blah blah blah, when you're annoying them. There's no real guarantee that like there were those people. I mean, those people probably were lefties because they're like mainly there as like anti-American. But like that's not even a law and order issue. That's irrelevant. It's like completely irrelevant. I mean, that's just AI. Are you kidding me? Like, what the fuck? And still understand. Might have a look at this. Whatever. WBC and the far left who rioted in Melbourne last night are upset that a communist dictator was removed from power. I mean, maybe I'll have to have a look at what the ABC is saying, but I doubt that even the ABC is going to be like decrying this all that much. Ugh. This US general revealed the real reason why America is invading
All of
Venezuela.
its rich resources and rare earth elements. Of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships. Why this region matters? With all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. You just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet crude, discovered off of Guyana over a year ago. You have Venezuela's resources as well, with oil, copper, gold. We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have the 31% of...
Wait, sorry. That's why you're invading Venezuela. This is just all of South America she's describing here. This is just all of South America. Whatever. Just a little quick summary. It's a world-class drug deal. I mean, okay. Dictator dead shit. Venezuela's no doubt better off. Okay, sure. Let's hear this. I want to hear this.
Well, happy weekend, Australia. Sunday afternoon, and I just sort of, I figured I'd give a little bit of a weekly report. Now, for some of you who do live under a rock, Donald Trump has effectively invaded Venezuela, decided he's taking it over, and...
Thankfully. Where do you live, my friend? How was your life made worse because of... Wait, I mean, arrest. I think Trump is grasping at straws, but Australia isn't too far behind it.
Afternoon, and I just sort of, Trump has effectively invaded Venezuela, decided he's taking it over, and depending on how you look at life, kidnapped the despot, dictator, drug dealing, dead set fucking cockhead Maduro. Now, I don't necessarily endorse it, but I don't think the outcome's necessarily going to be a bad one. But
Yeah. I don't endorse how this was done, but you know, since it has been done. Since it's been done, you know, because Trump is just a force of nature. We can't really do anything beyond that. There's nothing you can help there. And thus now the American government is basically just a force of nature. Since it's been done, well, it's not so bad that it's been done.
Maduro's an absolute dead shit. And Venezuela is a country that had all the natural resources and the glorious capabilities that I honestly believe Australia has, even though we neglect it in a similar way to the last couple of Venezuelan dictator, socialist, communist dickheads who just love to destroy countries and love to piss natural resources up the wall. So, I think, I don't know, Trump's tactics seem to work. They seem to have done a good job. But I think he's probably skipped a couple of boxes he probably shouldn't have. And I like Trump, but I also don't think he is the best politician in America. I would absolutely...
What has this got to fucking do now with Venezuela? Like, alright, you don't like Trump, or he's not like the ideal guy, whatever. But nonetheless, we don't even know if it was necessarily Trump now either. Like, we don't even know if... Hang on, when was this? This was yesterday. You should still have a bit more of an understanding then. Like, I'm pretty sure this, like, it's been pretty well made clear. Oh, okay, but Thomas Massey is the best politician in America. Very interesting. As for this bloke, so is this just a run through of all different fucking news stuff? Is he like a guy who tries to do the news?
Give that title to Thomas Massey. If you don't know Thomas Massey, check him out. Following on very, very closely to your Ron Paul, your Rand Paul, your Justin Amash, and a couple of other high quality folks in that little space. But I do.
But like this was mostly done from what we can tell by Marco Rubio. So like orchestrated. So it's not even so much a Trump thing.
Overall, like Trump better than I like the other guy, or the other couple of contenders, and the Democrats haven't produced anybody of any talent or any capability since Obama. And no matter what you say about Obama, he was a very, very charismatic politician. You can see how he got the job.
Following with that, our jumped up little Pakistani bloke or whatever he is.
Alright, and then we're moving on. So that was as much as we got about Venezuela there. That's beautiful. The other side, bro. Oh yeah, profound ignorance is one thing, profound arrogance on top of profound ignorance is quite another. The Nobel Prize has disgraced themselves awarding the Peace Prize to someone frothing at the mouth to be attacked by a superpower so she can hand over control of Venezuela's resources only to be unceremoniously dumped by Trump because she has the confidence of no one in the country. Yeah, I mean that was something that I thought was very, very, very funny. Okay, she's Aussie, I'll follow her. It is extremely funny how they're just dropping Machado. Goes without saying, but we're going to say it anyway. Oh yes, the manifest democracy. Or democracy manifest. Here is the ABC's coverage, along with a fucking ad. And I muted it.
Deadly and dramatic intervention in Venezuela. This is the scene in Caracas this morning. Residents have been taking to the streets as the Venezuelan military calls for deposed President Nicolas Maduro to be released from US prison, accusing America of engaging in military aggression.
In New York, where Maduro is being held after being captured by US forces over the weekend, a small group of protesters has also gathered. Our correspondent Rachel Clayton joins us now live from New York. Good morning to you, Rachel. You're outside the detention centre where Nicolas Maduro is being held. What's the latest?
Good morning. This large building behind me is where President Maduro is being held after being captured by US forces on Saturday morning around 2 a.m. Venezuelan time. He was taken and transported by plane to upstate New York, and he arrived here last night. In a video released by the White House, he was shown walking down the halls of this building in a black tracksuit. On that video, he said good night and Happy New Year, which was an interesting comment to make given his situation right now. President Maduro was taken alongside his wife, Celia Flores. They will appear in court tomorrow.
He knows he doesn't have many more days left. Also, what happened? Yeah, he changed. How'd that happen?
In Manhattan at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, they are facing a 25-page indictment, including charges of drug trafficking and narco-terrorism. As you said earlier today, we saw protests outside this detention centre from people calling for Maduro to be released. They were also calling for the US to exit Latin America and not get involved in the sovereignty of another country. Today, we've heard further calls from Democrats in America also questioning the legality of those US attacks on Venezuela and the capturing of the Venezuelan president.
Are we any closer at all to understanding what actually happens now in Venezuela?
It's still unclear how the US...
No. I heard a theory where it was something like, maybe, as always, as the per usual, Trump has no idea actually what the fuck is going on, and they've just, like, what he has said, has just been what has been told to him, like, Marco Rubio or whatever, just so that he says that, so that they're probably just going what was it? What was the theory? Basically, like, with now the vice president probably just going to become president, interim president, whatever. It's probably more than anything just going to be like, all right, you put on fucking notice, but not much is going to change. Not much is ultimately going to change, but you put on notice, and also, I don't know, America will probably do some like fucking around to try and get like American oil companies in there somehow. But outside of that, there's probably not going to be much. Like, they're really going to do a fucking occupation of Venezuela and do management, like the American protectorate of Venezuela.
intends to rule Venezuela. We heard strong comments from President Trump yesterday saying that the United States is now in charge in Venezuela. He said yesterday that the vice president, who's now the acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, was going to do everything that he said. Delcy Rodriguez then talked to state media yesterday saying that she does not recognize US control in the country and that President Nicolas Maduro is the true leader of Venezuela. Today, President Trump backed up what he said yesterday and threatened Delcy Rodriguez, saying that if the current administration in Venezuela, which is being led by Ms. Rodriguez, does not do what the US wants, that they will face consequences, and she will face consequences even harsher than what has occurred to President Maduro. We've also seen key White House officials speak with US media this morning. Secretary of State Marco Rubio talked a little more about who is in charge. Take a listen.
Who is in charge? Are you running Venezuela right now?
Yeah, I mean, I keep people, fixated.
Are you, Marco Rubio, the one doing it? Are you the one now in charge of Venezuela?
On that, here's the bottom line on it is we expect to see changes in Venezuela. We are not going to be able to allow in our hemisphere a country that becomes a crossroads for the activities of all of our adversaries around the world. We just can't allow it.
The international interests of the United States is a key line there. Democracy in Venezuela is obviously not the priority for this US administration. Shoring up security in their own backyard for national interests, for American interests, is why the US has gone in and captured Maduro and attacked the country. Rubio and President Trump have both said today that US intervention in Latin America and elsewhere may not stop with Venezuela. Marco Rubio said that the Cuban government is a huge problem. He has said that in the past, and that that country is in, quote, a lot of trouble. President Trump also said today that he alluded to Greenland, once again threatening Greenland, saying that that island is very important to the United States. So the assertion of US forces in Latin America and elsewhere may not be over yet.
Interesting. So everyone just seems to be saying this has happened. What can we do? You know? What can we do? It just seems to be way too hard for us to come up with a conclusion on whether or not this was bad or not. Let's see what else I've got up I can find here. I mainly want recent stuff because... Oh yeah, alright, let's see this. Markets brace for oil price shift.
Described as a bold move, the United States has just taken control of the world's largest oil reserve. Venezuela sits on 18% of all oil in the ground, followed by Saudi Arabia at 16% and Canada on 10%. The thing with Venezuelan oil is that it's sour and heavy, making it harder to turn into fuels like diesel. Worse, a lack of investment in the country's oil fields has seen the South American nation fall to 20th in terms of global oil production. The US thinks it can do better with this enormous supply of liquid gold. It won't be easy. Getting Venezuela's rusty and run-down oil production facilities up to speed could take hundreds of billions of dollars or more. The trillion-dollar question: can the US turn Venezuela's oil industry around at a low enough cost and fast enough to pump out more oil and reduce the costs for Americans at the pump? Oil doesn't trade over the weekend, and analysts are divided over what it means for the price of the commodity and petrol for Australian motorists. Monday could see a big spike in the oil price or a correction. But with the market already awash with oil and its price retreating over the past few years, could this be less about the price of fuel and more about controlling the world's oil market? It's a question only the US president can answer.
Okay. I'm going
If
to
you
play
look
this
at
one, but
the UN Charter or any
Scrap
aspect of
track.
international law that has to do with war, there is a justification for launching war in the event that you've been attacked or are in danger of imminent attack. Neither is the case here. If anything, it was the United States that massed, if not an armada, a large number of ships off Venezuela's coast, blockaded the coast, began a kind of information warfare to destabilize the Maduro government. So no, the answer is no.
What do you believe is central to this action?
Well, I think there are many things going on. I think for those of us, who might find this hard to believe, I think the idea of having control over Venezuela's oil reserves, it has the largest amount of proven reserves in the world. It is only, it's about 20% of proven reserves. It produces only about barely 1% of world output, but that can be scaled up if the sort of outdated infrastructure is updated. And what Trump has said is, well, we're going to run Venezuela for a while. I have no idea what that means, but then our multinational corporations will come back into Venezuela. The oil will gush. Venezuelans will make money, it won't cost us anything to run Venezuela. So that's the plan. As bizarre as it sounds, that seems to be the case.
What do you make of the fact that the interim president is the vice president who served under Maduro?
Well, there is a president in place, and one of the things she's said is that we want, first of all, proof of Maduro's well-being. So there is a Venezuelan state in place. It is not that the state has crumbled. Now, mind you, the state hasn't served the people well economically or politically. That's not the issue here, because if that were the grounds for attacking a country, many countries could be attacked because of many countries that don't do well by their people. So there is a government in place. Now, there is an opposition leader, Maria Machado, the winner of the Nobel Prize, who many people thought would be the person who would be catapulted in to take Maduro's place. But Trump recently said that, well, she doesn't have the legitimacy, despite the fact that she dedicated part of her Nobel Prize to Trump. So we're all up in the air now about what exactly is going to happen, because there's a Venezuelan state in place. It will not cede authority to any external power. But one external power, namely Donald Trump's government, wants to now run Venezuela. It has no machinery for doing so. It has no plan for doing so. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out.
And that question of legitimacy, I mean, that speaks to the opinions of Venezuelans. What of those opinions and actions, how will they factor in here in moving forward?
Gemma, that's a very good question. It's hard to tell. I mean, I think it's a polarized society because of the record of the Maduro government. There is a lot of opposition to it. But it's important to bear in mind that you can be a Venezuelan who is opposed to Maduro, doesn't like the government, but doesn't welcome the idea of a foreign government catapulting in, running your country, and claiming to have the right to decide who invests in your oil fields. So that's important to realize that. So there's no question that Maduro is
why
an
is he
unpopular
holding
person.
a sword? Why is he holding a fucking sword?
What the regime has by way of popular support is very hard to tell. It all depends, I think, on how well it endures, because if the state begins to unravel, then a lot of people will desert the ship, as it were.
What do you believe might be the unintended consequences of this US action?
Well, there's an old saying in strategy, don't take the first step until you've thought about what the second step is. And I fear we've taken the first step without any plan for the second step. So
Oh boy, you
there are
don't say.
various possibilities. One is that the regime of Maduro holds strong without him. There's a state in place and says, we will resist if there is a attempt to enter Venezuela militarily, and then the ball is in Trump's court. If he decides to go forward, we're talking about a Venezuelan war with the United States. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that that's a possibility. The second is that there will be more pressure of an economic nature put on Venezuela with the hope that the regime will give way. The problem there is that you want the disintegration of a state before any other entity, in this case the United States, has the machinery to fill the void, because a result of that will be anarchy, such as we saw after the overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya. The two situations are not the same, but what happened was complete mayhem because the state fell apart, no one was able to fill the vacuum, and there was a prolonged civil war.
Rajan Menon, Director of Strategy at the US think tank Defence Priorities. Great to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Gemma.
That's that. Let's go to this.
Donald Trump has been unambiguous that Venezuelan oil and the commercial opportunity it represents for American companies were a primary reason for the removal of President Maduro. And that's because Venezuela has the largest oil reserves on Earth, an estimated 300 billion barrels lying untapped. That's about 17% of global reserves, and it's more than Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, and more than 3 times the reserves in the United States. Now, the bulk of it lies in the central Orinoco Belt, south of the Orinoco River, in oil fields that cover around 50,000 square kilometres. And it's not just how much oil is here, but the type that matters. It is extra heavy crude oil. It's used for making diesel, asphalt, and as a raw material in petrochemicals. Because it's highly viscous, thick and sticky, it's more complex to extract, and it requires refinement. But crucially, while the US doesn't have large reserves of this heavy crude, it does have lots of the refineries required to deal with it. Now, despite these massive reserves, Venezuelan production is relatively puny, and it's been in decline. In the 60s and 70s, when American oil companies controlled the industry, it produced more than 3.5 million barrels a day. That was around 7% of global output. But following the election of Hugo Chavez, the industry was nationalized, assets of those American companies were seized, and production fell. It declined further under President Maduro, particularly after the imposition of sanctions in 2019. And today, Venezuela produces less than 1 million barrels a day. Now, given there are sanctions in place, it's worth asking where those barrels of oil end up. And this chart shows us these are exports from Venezuela in the last year, and the bulk goes to China, much of it under exemption to repay historic loans. But the balance goes to the United States, which has granted Chevron a license to operate in Venezuela despite the sanctions. Now, Donald Trump says US oil companies will spend billions to reverse the decline in Venezuelan production, but it will not happen overnight. And these pictures shot by Sky News in 2019 tell us why. Venezuela's oil infrastructure has declined through a chronic lack of investment, and there's been a brain drain from the domestic industry.
Of course, we're gonna. Yeah. I mean, it's Sky News. We're gonna obviously hype up all of the oil company propaganda. Unfortunately, I will have to leave at some point soon. I know. We were just having so much fun already. Oh, it still keeps going.
Industry under Maduro too. Consultants Wood Mackenzie estimate that every additional 500,000 barrels of output from these fields will require $15 to $20 billion of investment to return them to production. Now, for a sense of how long it might take to increase that production, we can look to a previous episode of US adventurism, the removal of Saddam Hussein from Iraq. And this chart.
Yeah, that went great. Hang on, what happened to Iraq's oil production? Well, of course it went up. Yeah, do we remember who was behind all of that shit? It's insane, man. It's insane how much these people literally they are. This is the news, and this is basically just saying, hey, isn't what we've just done, well, what America just did, a great idea? Hate that they did it. But now that they've done it, isn't it awesome? Isn't that so great? For them. We mean, not for
shows
us.
the war with Iran and the first Gulf War dented production. But after the US-led invasion in 2003, production has tripled, but it's taken 20 years and, of course, come at an enormous cost to regional stability. The more immediate question is what impact regime change in Venezuela will have on the oil price when markets reopen, particularly given the uncertainty over who is really in charge in Caracas. Now, the US seizure of Venezuelan tankers before Christmas had a limited impact on the oil price. In fact, you can see it's down more than 20% in the last year as global economies have slowed, demand has decreased, and there's actually...
Oh, how nice that we made this whole process so quick, clean, you know, by just taking out Maduro. You know, we made this a lot easier compared to, you know, say what's been happening over in Ukraine, where Russia's just the whole Ukraine and Russia war is just stalemated. What did I say? Stalemated? Stalemated. And oil productions. Wait, oil price? What will happen to oil price? Oh, this is meaning that it got cheaper. Oh, Ukraine invasion. Yep. Sorry, I was misreading this graph.
Oversupply. It may be that the prospect of a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine will have far more impact on the oil price than the promise of more Venezuelan crude in decades to come. And whatever happens to these markets in the short term, the broader question of whether American involvement will benefit the Venezuelan people and have their consent or amount to a colonial asset grab, that will take longer to resolve.
Yeah, that'll take longer to resolve. Don't know. I don't know. Have no idea what it could be though. Don't know. Yeah, let's see world leaders react. This was 2 hours ago.
Jay, can you bring us up to date on the global reaction to Nicolas Maduro's capture?
Well, this was such a shocking intervention by the US President, Gemma. It stunned many around the world, and there are really big questions now, not only about what this is going to mean longer term for Venezuelans, but also what it's going to mean in terms of ongoing US involvement. The European Union has released a statement today. It was signed by all member states except Hungary. It called for calm and restraint to avoid further escalation. Nicolas Maduro has long been criticised by many Western nations, and this statement says that he lacked legitimacy as leader, but it says there now needs to be a transition to democracy and that needs to be led by the Venezuelan people. At the same time, there is a lot of criticism from Latin American countries. The governments of Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Mexico, Uruguay, as well as Spain have issued their own joint statement today. They've accused the United States of an extremely dangerous precedent.
Just need to check. I think someone just knocked on my door again. My housemate is getting so many little presents come in as packages.
For peace and regional security, and they've accused the US of endangering civilians in Venezuela. The United Nations Security Council is reportedly planning to hold an emergency session tomorrow local time, Monday local time, to discuss these developments, so that will likely take place overnight our time.
Jade, how is this being viewed in the US?
Well, Democrats on the opposing side of politics to Donald Trump are very critical of this action. Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, has said today that Nicolas Maduro is, in his words, a horrible person, but he argues you don't treat lawlessness with other lawlessness. He argues that the United States government did not have the legal authority for this action, that it hadn't been authorised by the US Congress. Republicans, on the other hand, have largely rallied behind Donald Trump, have largely backed this action. Some, though, are critical, and they argue that this contradicts Donald Trump's so-called America First principles that he campaigned on. They say that they believed that Donald Trump was opposed to this sort of foreign intervention by the US, and they see this as a betrayal of that. So as the world digests these developments in Venezuela, plenty of domestic political reaction yet to play out as well.
I'll say. Well, that might unfortunately have to be all I can really show for now, because there's not that much text control. Yeah, that's what we were just looking at. So, yeah, if there's anything more I want to have a look that there is to look at, I might see about doing another stream later tonight. Just trying to get more into the habit of it is all. Anyways, coolio. Have fun with life all.